my new favorite places on the road. I'm back in Echo, Utah, Echo Canyon, and don't tell anybody, but I might have snuck past a little fence. I wasn't the first person to do it. Someone else made a nice little space that's perfect for the yogically inclined, shall we say, to fit through in the barbed wire fence. Look at these wildflowers. My truck is parked somewhere down there. These canyons, the air is clean and beautiful, and I am just in heaven up here. And honestly, I love Utah so much. I could 100% imagine living here, any place where you could do hiking and climbing. What a gift to be able to spend some time here. And I needed to take my 30, so I just decided to come up here, and I wasn't planning on, you know, sneaking into some private property, but I did. I'm here. I'm about to leave. No harm, no foul. I'm not damaging anything. I'm just standing among the beautiful flowers, amongst. I never know when to use what, but don't judge me. If you want to judge me, you can, and I don't care. This is so great. Oh, I love it. Share a little moment that was nice here. I pulled up to the fuel island, and the guy that was in the one next to me, as soon as I walked around the corner of my truck, he saw me and he smiled at me, and it was this really nice smile, you know. And where's my little block? Where are you, yoga block? Right in front of me. It's just blending in with the floor. This goes under my left foot because of my weird left hip. Takes the pressure off my lower back. Anyway, I have that under my left foot all day. But it was just this nice smile, you know. And then I was fueling, and then he went to pull his truck forward. He was driving doubles, actually. He pulls forward, and before he does, he just smiles at me again and gives me this little wave. And what I took from that gesture was like, you go, girl. Like, it was cool. And I'm just sharing this little anecdote to say that the support of men out here means so much when you're a woman alone, and just seeing that, like, just getting the vibe of like, I see you, I respect you, it feels awesome. So be that guy, just throwing it out there. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm enjoying this sunrise here. All right, so we're checking in. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be a quick unload today? Yeah, I don't think so either. I already went to the wrong building. Or well, kind of the wrong building. It's like a fucking big complex. Look at this shit. And I parked my truck in a different lot, and I'm glad I did, because this line is just how you say shit show. It's a big old shit show. We're gonna be here for a while. All right, well, this unload took a little while, but it wasn't too bad, and I didn't have to move the tandems, which is nice because that didn't require any any athletic feats under the trailer to move these tandems. But I'm betting at the next one I might have to. It's a beer load, so heading over to pick up some beers. And it's funny, I always think, like, in trucking, you know, when I'm moving beer, it's like I've been at different ends of the supply chain with regards to beer. I have to, can you hear that rattling? I have to put the seat belt together so it doesn't do that while I'm driving. Very distracting. So I'm gonna reset my reefer for 39 degrees. I'm gonna go get some beers, and I hope that they don't take forever to load me up. And where are those beers going? Let's see. To Wisconsin. That means I'm gonna be going to home time after that, so yay. And also, you're welcome. All right, guess what I'm about to do? I just arrived at my pickup. By the way, don't step forward out of your truck. I normally don't. I am doing the under trailer yoga crab walk extravaganza so I can get to this. Don't try this at home, kids. I'm wondering if there's anyone who's anxious about this because my truck is running, and I just want you to know that both my tractor and trailer brakes are set, and I could be on a giant grade going like downhill on this with this truck and it wouldn't be able to move at all. So don't worry, I'm perfectly safe. I just released this guy, and you see why I can't get at it. If you can see right here, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, but I wouldn't be able to reach across the tires to reach this from outside because the tandems are all the way forward. So now we're gonna do it all over again. Woo! And video at the same time. It's a special skill set, people. And we're just gonna shimmy out from underneath, and we're out. Hello again, my friends. Well, this unload is going to be a while. This load is going to be a while. Another one of our company's drivers is sitting in the dock across from me, and he's already been here for 2 hours, and they've barely started loading him. And it's going to take me a while, and apparently this is a place where we used to be all drop and hook, and now we're doing live loads. So I feel like that's one of those things that some of you drivers will, you know, that'll resonate with you, that's one of those things that's been happening for a lot of us as these warehouses end up being more and more short-staffed, and that's how they compensate for it or whatever. But I'm making myself a shake with my fancy new NutriBullet that my mom got me for an early birthday present. My birthday's in like a week and a half or something. I don't keep track of what day it is half the time. Like I vaguely have an idea of what day it is based on when I have to deliver something, of course, but it's just crazy how fast the time goes by in life in general, but definitely in trucking, it's a little bit of a time machine. I can't tell you how many days I wake up and I'm like, where was I yesterday? Like, you forget what city you were in, what company you were picking up from. And it almost can be a little embarrassing because there's times when you have to go talk to somebody and answer that question. They're like, where's this load going, or where's it coming from? And you're like, you have to remind yourself, be prepared to answer these questions, because you're like, I'm just driving, I don't know. Like, you do know, but you know what I mean. So anyway, let me see if I can show you here. This is what I was using before, which I'm going to give this, I think, to a good friend of mine, and hopefully it'll be a size that works for her. This is the size I like to drink out of, and this is still smaller than the shake I used to make. Believe it or not, I used to make a shake that was probably, I think this is 32 ounces, and I want to say that one must have been like 48 ounces. But again, I didn't drink it all at the same time. I would, you know, drink some and then save the rest for later in the day. So just to give you an idea of what's in here, I used the last of that oat milk kefir. That shit was gross, okay? I'm not buying it again. I'm afraid that when it comes to kefir, I've tried a bunch of different non-dairy ones and they're gross. So I'm sticking to the dairy ones for now. So I've got the last of that in here. I've got some full fat, regular, good kefir in here, the dairy kind. I've got a bunch of spinach. I've got a little splash of orange juice, maybe 4 or 6 ounces, something like that. I've got a bunch of frozen strawberry, half an avocado, frozen banana. I've got some fresh pineapple. So like at the Loves, they always have fruit cups and they have pineapple, and sometimes I'll take some of that and freeze it for later for using in shakes, but this is just fresh. I love the acidity of the pineapple to offset some of the other stuff going on in here. I've got some frozen coconut that comes in like a packet. Oh, and I'm gonna toss in a little bit of that mushroom powder stuff while I still have some. I don't have a ton of it left. I do have protein powder, but I just don't like it. Even though the one I got, I'm very particular about, I have a long history using protein powders, like when I was bodybuilding, and I got on the protein train when it was like not quite as mainstream. I'm personally responsible for getting a lot of people to probably use protein, and what's crazy is when I was using it back then, the protein I was consuming had so much, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, acesulfame potassium, also known as, shoot, what is it? I'm going to put it on the screen, but, or like, you know, something similar to like a Splenda. That stuff is not good. And I'm glad there's more science out now about that stuff, that artificial sweeteners actually can stoke a subtle insulin response that makes you crave sugar. I can't tell you how much more I used to crave sugar when I was using those types of products. I don't like using this protein, even though that one doesn't have any artificial sweeteners. I think it has stevia. I really just try to use real sugar here and there. Side note, there was like a whole thing on NPR. Sorry, not sorry. There's a whole thing about like how messed up the sugar trade still is. Like, it has horrible historical roots and it's still terrible. So I guess that's good incentive to cut your sugar intake. I annoy myself, people. If I'm annoying you, I'm sorry. Just know that I'm annoying myself just as much. But yeah, the protein powder, I have a lot of skepticism about the idea of supplemental protein. I think a lot of times we get all these ideas about food that we try to like supplement things instead of eating whole foods, and I don't think it's necessarily as good. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm going to blend this up and I'm going to drink it, and I'm probably going to edit some video because I'm going to be sitting for a while. I have my curtains closed to keep it cooler in here, and guess what? My GD APU is still being a piece of shit. You like how I edited part of it but not the other part? Selective self-editing. Yeah, I'm going to try to get them to service it again. Now it has a warning code on it that I think means that it's still probably leaking coolant again. I'm real annoyed, and I just basically get up during the night and turn it on when I need to and just turn the truck on and run the AC, and I don't want to be doing that, but I'm not going to be in warm weather not being able to sleep. Like, forget it. And you can't open the windows when you're sitting next to trucks that are idling all night. You just can't. It's not safe. It's not healthy. I'm not doing that. I miss the EPU, because the nice thing about the EPU was that, yeah, it turns the truck on and off, and that can be a little bit startling, but you don't have to actually get out of bed. It does it for you, and it maintains the temperature all night. So I wish I had that back. Anyway, enough complaining. All right, guys, I'm finally in the door. Didn't have to wait too long, so that was cool. Had just enough time to make my delicious shake, which I'm still working on. And I had to back in next to this beautiful Peterbilt, and that's always a little extra nerve-wracking, which is weird. I was thinking to myself, why? Because any truck you hit, it's going to be bad. But you really, for some reason, I think it's like you would feel a personal sense of heartbreak if you messed up a really beautiful truck. And I had to park in a dock that was a little bit trickier to get into, in part because you have to, it's one of those places where you have to have your tandems back before they'll even let you through the guard shack. So that means, for those of you who don't know, it's like your pivot point is all the way in the back of the trailer, so you then need that much space to angle yourself into a spot. So if you don't have a lot of space in front of you, that can work against you. And I have just enough space, but it forced me to start, partly because I didn't set it up right, because still learning. You're always learning. I feel like maneuvering is something you constantly can work on, and to me it's fun now. It's no longer terrifying, which is a good thing. I didn't line myself up probably as well as I could have. I did okay, I didn't do terrible, but I had the back end of my trailer angled a little bit toward Mr. Sexy Pete over here. But I had enough room that I was able to re-angle the trailer and then start to back into the space. The upside of having the tandems all the way back is that there's no trailer swing. So like if your trailer's like this, this is the back of the trailer and your tandems are right here, then there's all this back end of the trailer that could run into something next to you, versus if your tandems are all the way back and this is the back of your trailer, then wherever the tandems go is where the back of the trailer is going. There's a little bit less guesswork in there, or like needing to get out a bunch of times and make sure that the back corner of your trailer isn't going to tag Mr. Fancy Schmancy Peterbilt man. So, I don't know why I'm giving him all these nicknames. I'm partial to blue, like different shades of blue. I should just try to get a picture. I just don't want this dude to think that I'm weird taking a picture of his truck, but he probably likes that kind of thing. It's like this gorgeous, like deep royal blue with the white accents. It is a really nice truck. Really nice. Yeah, I like it. Anyway, I was going to talk about something entirely different real quick. I was just going to say, you guys know that in my channel, I don't really harp on certain subjects a whole lot. Like, I think it's probably apparent to people who watch my channel that I have certain opinions that I feel strongly about and stuff, but I try to keep my channel focused on trucking, and I think that's really important. But there's times when I also like have a conversation or something, and it just sparks me to think about something I want to share, because I think a lot of my audience might find it interesting or useful to hear or whatever. So I was just talking to this guy, and he's another truck driver, and we were messaging back and forth, and he said, well, you could always play the damsel in distress card or something like that, in terms of, I think we were talking about like trying to get in a dock faster, and we were just joking around. And first of all, you guys know if you watch my channel, that's not how I would operate. I think when you're a person who cares about gender equality, you have to look at it from different angles, and that goes down to things like, do you really put your money where your mouth is? So do you expect special treatment? Do you expect the same treatment, or do you expect special treatment? And it's a tricky thing, because like there's been times when like a guy would open a door for me, and it was like when we were working in the moving company, like I was moving furniture with a guy, and it's like, it's hard enough to prove that I can hang when I'm moving like couches and dressers and stuff with guys, and it's understandable why people look at a woman like me and be like, why are you moving furniture? Answer is because I'm an athletic weirdo and I like doing hard things. But if we're walking into a place together, there were times when I like don't want you to open the door for me, or don't be weird if I open the door for you, because we're doing the same job, and it's like highlighting the fact that my gender makes me different. It was partly like getting a little too much in my head about it, because the other thing is that like there's people who were raised a certain way, and it makes them feel comfortable to do something, and it's ingrained so deep in them. So now these days, a lot of times at truck stops, men open the door for me, and they will see me coming, and they will like stop what they're doing and back up and open the door for me. And you know what? I think that's nice of them, and I say thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's pretty much what I always say, because it's a really nice thing to do. It's not like every guy does that, but it's a lot of guys, and it's the fact that I work in an environment with a lot of older, more traditionally thinking type of dudes, and that's what makes them feel like they're being respectful, because that's how their mother and father raised them to be. I don't need to bite their fucking head off because they're trying to be respectful toward me. And that's where I think it's important to have an open mind about like gender roles and stuff like that, and recognize that like, while we want to have equality, we also have to recognize that it's a process for people to adapt to different ways of understanding how a person might want to be treated or how they don't want to be treated. And I'm not trying to say it's wrong for guys to open doors for women. I'm just saying it's more of a old school approach, and you know, it's nice. But then by the same token, if someone suggests to me like, oh, go flirt with the yard guy to get yourself in a door faster or something, first of all, that shit is not going to play. I'm sure that happens for some people sometimes. I'm sure it can't hurt, but it's just not the way I fucking roll, because I'm out here busting my ass alongside all of you who are out here busting your asses, and I don't like the idea of trying to seek some little advantage because of, you know, my gender, how I look, or anything like that, because that's kind of hypocritical if I'm a person who says I want to be treated equally. That's all I'm gonna say. That was way more words than necessary. Who, me? Verbose? Never. Hello friends, I just stopped at this rest area in Nebraska to take my 30, which turned into an hour. I did over an hour now, I gotta get moving, but I did a little yoga break, and it's so muggy and gross outside, and I'm sad about that, heading back toward the east after being out west, and it was so mercifully dry. It's actually, the dry air is a little bit hard on my sinuses, so I'm like spraying my handy dandy right within reach saline spray in my sinuses like all day while I'm driving in that climate. But it's so much better than this muggy, disgusting, heavy air. So not to be all complainy, but today on the way on this run so far on I-80 in Nebraska, I have passed technically two very serious semi accidents, but all three semis were overturned. If I'm remembering correctly, the second accident was two semis that had clearly collided. One had hit the back end of the other and like crunched in the back third of the trailer. Had to be a fatality. There were so many emergency vehicles. The one semi that must have run into the other one was completely overturned. It was gut-wrenching to see it. It's very deeply disturbing to see it because there's so many of us out here on these roads, and I thought to myself as I'm passing it, like, because one of the things that you'll notice if you're newer or whatever, once you get into it, if you're taking certain routes frequently, you'll start to realize that you see some of the same trucks that you saw in the morning, people that you saw at one truck stop, you see at the next one, because a lot of us are taking similar routes. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, these are guys that could have been at the truck stop with me this morning, and now someone's probably gone, you know. And it just drives home that we can easily become complacent because this is what we do every day, and we feel confident in what we're doing. Some of us may be a little overconfident. I'm sure I definitely have moments where I should be not getting overconfident, I'll just say, but it just makes you realize, like, what we're doing is incredibly dangerous. And I think that when it becomes your life and your lifestyle and your routine, that it can be easy to forget just how dangerous it is. And then when you come upon a scene like that, it just really hits you hard. So my heart goes out to everyone in that accident, to those accidents today, and their families. It's really devastating, life-changing, even for someone who survives an accident like that. Maybe just, I don't want to say just as much, but it's a lot. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Hey guys, how's it going? So I finally made it to this delivery in Wisconsin with this load of beer. I'm so tired. I had to get up at 2:30 today to get on the road by 4, and that's how long I need. That's the bare minimum. It was hard because I didn't even get quite 6 hours of sleep, and that was like starting my clock exactly at 10 hours of a reset. And one thing I've been noticing, and I'm not sure if I'm accurate on this, so I might be, don't take me with a grain of salt. Do take me with a grain of salt. When I have brokered loads, it seems like the way that they're scheduled is much tighter, and I have like no time, and I really can't get enough sleep. It's really hard. It's like they don't really schedule enough time for you to have bathroom breaks and stuff like that. They just want you to run. And I'm probably right about that, because I notice when it's regular loads, it's like they build in a little bit of a cushion. But I'm sitting here yammering now because I'm actually done for my 2 weeks, and I'm going to be going home for a couple of days. I'm looking forward to it in a way, but it's a holiday weekend in Chicago, and it's chaotic, and it's going to be really hot, and the air quality is really bad because of those wildfires. I'm glad that that bad air is moving east, so it's a little bit better. It sucks for the people who are east of us, like in Northwest Indiana is getting it now. It's still a bad air weekend because it's technically like the 4th of July weekend, and I mean, I guess everybody who's watching this would know that by now. And I thought this was interesting. They were saying on the news that it's because of grills and fireworks, actually. And that's one thing that, like, if you have a dog and you live in Chicago or any major city, this is a weekend when you want to like try to take your dog out of town or something, because it's so traumatizing to dogs. The amount of explosions, and it happens for more than just the holiday. It's like for at least a week, or it'll go on for weeks. And it's also a little more nerve-wracking for people who live in areas that have a lot of gun violence. It's like you're hearing pops and bangs, and you don't know if it's fireworks. You play the fireworks or guns game, fireworks or bullets. I'm fortunate the area that I'm in is generally a very safe area. Yeah, so I was thinking about like my little complaints, and after saying that, they sound really stupid. The beach that I would normally go to, this time of year is the one time of year it's not good to go to the beach, because there are these really militant, aggressive lifeguards there. And this is an older joke, but I'm gonna make it. In my head, I refer to them as like Barney Fife guards, because they're very into their own sense of authority, and they don't like you to bring paddle boards on the beach. So if you try to carry your paddle board straight down your street from where you live and where you store the board and try to carry it onto the beach, they will try to tell you to walk about a quarter mile up the sand and then walk into the water there. It's totally irrational. So I end up having to go there before they get there or after. And so that's an annoyance. It's a real, you know, first world problem kind of complaint. So I really should keep it to my damn self. But I'm very tired. I got a couple hours to get back to my parking, and I'm just gonna take my sweet time, because I have plenty of time on my clock, but it's like a 2.5 hour drive. I'm going to stop and get myself a freaking high octane, big ass iced coffee, bladder bursting motherfucker. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, yeah. I'm glad I made it. Like I said, I was 10 minutes late, but they give you a little, you know, 10, 15 minutes. These brokers, though, man, this guy had been trying to call me, and I had blocked the number already, and then he tried calling me from another number, and it was at, the delivery time was 10 a.m. I rolled into the lot at like 10:08, backed into a spot across from the docks, went in and checked in, and as I was getting out of the truck at 10:10 to check in, my phone starts ringing, and I saw the area code, and I was like, nah. Done with that guy now, so that's cool. On to the next.